Good morning, boys and girls. Here's something we don't see very often. We have a frozen canal. Rock solid. Isn't that romantic? It's now late afternoon and the canal, which I can't focus on, obviously. Can I? Yes, sort of. It's starting to thaw. Are you gonna go on? There we go. Look at that. The power of oh, fuck it. Anyway, it's starting to thaw. So we're further down. We're headed down nearly towards Bacon Lane Bridge. The towpath is down there. So I'm above the towpath, and this is the other side of what I call, I suppose, the meadow. And there used to be factory units stood on this piece of ground here. Got loads of Oromorph bottles down there by the look of it. It's nice. Yeah, so these are the floors of what were, I'm guessing at one point, things like steel works and factory works. So Ripon Street kind of goes all the way around, what's left of it. Hi mate. And this is all part of the bit that was going to be redeveloped, and thankfully the developer was a bit of a knob, went on record as saying, oh yeah, Sheffield doesn't need any more parks, and so the council stepped in and said, well, this is one park that you're not having, which was weird actually, because they'd already sold it to him. And I understand, I might be wrong, that this was covenanted to be left for community, the benefit of community, which building loads of fucking houses on is pushing it a little bit, I would say. Bleeding cold today, I know that. All the little bits down here is frozen. I could very easily end up on my arse if I'm not careful. Go on, mate. So we come up here, and you will recognise, those who follow this rubbish, you will recognise where we is. There we are. So it's, what time is it now? Just gone 4 o'clock. And it's nice because this time a few weeks ago it would have been just getting dark. So oh, all right, Pickle, what are you gonna do? Weird old times. I have a bit of time for myself coming up, and those of you who know that I don't always just piss around brewing and whatever and boating. Some of my other activities I'm taking a little step back from for a couple of weeks, mainly I think because I need a rest. Some of these talking shops are just a little bit too much. These various mailing lists, Teams meetings, Zoom meetings of people claiming, sorry Marley, I didn't throw that very well, did I? Claiming to be health experts, and then there's me sat on the side saying, well actually, do you know what, I'm not really an expert, and you're all talking bollocks. And the other thing that's really got to me recently, and fuck me has it got to me recently, is at the start of this pandemic, come on Picklebum, bring your ball, good boy, go on then, I was running the weekly support group, informal, completely informal, irreverent, ad hoc weekly support group for terminally ill patients, predominantly terminally ill cancer patients, although we did have a few others, but predominantly cancer patients. And when the first lockdown started, much though I knew the support group had formed an essential part of their coping strategy, when the lockdown occurred and we was all told not to meet, not to gather, I reluctantly said we can't really carry these physical in the same room support groups on. So that was from around April 2020. Around the time Boris Johnson seemed to be having plenty of parties in Downing Street, April and May. Strangely enough, on one of those parties, on the day before they buried Prince Philip, was a leaving party for someone who's now gone on to be deputy editor of The Sun. So I'm guessing Rupert Murdoch on The Sun knew about these parties all the time. Yes, that's what I'd do to Boris Johnson as well, Marley. Marley, get your ball, darling, come on. And so they were taking us all for complete twats, weren't they? They were telling us that we shouldn't meet. And I was speaking yesterday, Monday, to some colleagues who, as you know, or as a lot of people here will know, I used to work in the field of HIV reduction and harm reduction and HIV prevention, etc. So I've worked a lot in the drugs field and the sex field around safer sex, reducing the potential transmission of HIV. That's how they all drag me into all these COVID things, because they think I'm an expert on behavioural change. Am I? Fuck. But I was talking to some ex-colleagues who work in the drugs field who have seen a colossal deterioration in the maintenance of people's being or their drug use being controlled. For some, that's not necessarily abstinence based. It might be a maintenance dose, etc. But for people working in the drug and alcohol field, they couldn't hold their support groups. There's been a huge deterioration. So it's not just the little support group I ran, it's support groups for people with drug problems, alcohol problems, and most significantly, mental health problems. One of the things that happened, I was talking to the person who kind of like acts as my therapist, and she was saying that from the start of 2020 there was no one-to-one counselling, psychotherapy sessions, and rather alarmingly 3, and she thinks 4, although it's unknown, but certainly 3, suspected 4, have taken their own life. All the time Boris Johnson and his cronies were having garden parties, Friday drinks sessions. They even went out and bought a fucking drinks fridge. They sent someone out with a suitcase to get more wine, for fuck's sake. And I'm just thinking, do you know, almost everybody I know has made colossal sacrifices, and not just personal but business. And I think back to some of you, hopefully all of you will follow Harry Brew 69's channel on YouTube, Chris over in Retford. And one of the levelling things from last year was where Chris was shutting down the cellar, turning everything off, turning off the cellar cooler, turning off the beer line coolers, unplugging all the kegs, turning the lights off. And there's a little bit where Abby, his daughter, just says, "Come on, Daddy." And even now, that still kind of brings a bit of a lump to my throat. It was one of the most... And Chris's videos through that time are a valuable social documentary. A very valuable social documentary of just how horrendous it was at that time. And for everybody I know. Richard, Simon, Bryony, Dorothy Pax, everybody I know. There was a little girl called Nicole, who some of you might know, who just before, literally just before fucking COVID, opened up a new little cafe bar, coffee shop, record shop on Abbeydale Road called Cole's Corner. So that, yeah, the impact that this has had has been absolutely devastating for just about everybody, apart from the Tories and their fucking cronies. So while everybody else was suffering and losing, and what really brought this home to me was one of the patients who passed away towards the end of 2020, so about a year and a month ago. Their main concern was that their partner had terrible dementia, and that person, I found out that person survived them by nearly a year and died between Christmas and New Year. And I don't know if you've got faith or any of that sort of shit. One of their family members said at least they're together again now. I don't believe in all that sort of stuff. I certainly don't believe in a God after seeing some of the awful, once you've seen a couple of children die in agony from cancer, you kind of like lose your faith in God. And the next person who ever says to me, "Oh, just Jesus wanted another angel," I'll punch him in the fucking face. But all those people who sacrificed so much for the protection of others, to see Johnson's just contempt for everybody else, absolute contempt. And think about this, 100 people were sent an invite to come and have drinks at 6 o'clock. So that's 100 scumbag wankers who should really have highlighted this before. And like I said, yeah, the media are complicit in this. The media have known all about all of these. Yes, I know, Marley, exactly. I wouldn't piss on Johnson if he was on fire. The media have known about all of this for a long time, and they will just drip as it suits them. And I see today he's sticking to that same old shit. I thought it was a work event. Yeah, well, anyway, the canal's thawing. And I think I've probably said quite enough for today. Got some time to myself coming up instead of meetings and whatever, so I've got a few more things planned, including planning the bar for the boathouse. If you don't know, we're turning the boathouse into a private members club, and it'd be great for anyone local who wants to be a part of that journey. I'll put a link below to join. Shameless plug, Bailey, shameless plug. Whatever you're doing, do it safely. Cheers.